Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one, the only ZBEC network. Now, before we jump into it, ladies and gentlemen, look, we're going to be talking about coin confessions of the day. Lost my entire crypto net worth to NFTs. After losing my entire crypto net worth to NFTs after the bubble popped, I got saved by both Jito and Pith. I then doubled down on my luck when I hit 1,000x on Book of Meme, right? Or something like that, Bo Meme or whatever. Things were going great. I hit FUD and Trump early, or sorry, UFD and Trump early. The issue was I never took profit. I rode both down to their lows, at which point I chased the Dave Portnoy coins and blew my entire stack. All in all, I could have had 500K and paid off all my debts. However, I lost it all. Well, you know, what this really means, you're special, right? It really is. You really do have to be unique and special to hit 1,000x and to recover. But you also got to be very special to blow a lead like this back to back, dude. Back to back. Are you kidding me? Look, I even saw the comments, but the people that are retarded. I mean, I'm sorry, dude. You cannot blow, you cannot blow it back to back. At that point, it's come on. Sounds like you have a gift of making really poor decisions. You are in luck. There's still traditional jobs out there. Um, Look, man, I get it. It's hard. It's hard. But really, if you have basic knowledge, I genuinely believe this. Like the thing is, a lot of people they don't have basic knowledge for them, it's just a complete gamble. Okay. And don't get me wrong, right? There's always some luck with the timing of a crypto coming out and when you see it and whether it's a scam or not in the beginning, and of course, meme coins and how well they do. But you also have to remember if a lot of you guys just simply had some type of knowledge in terms of technical analysis, then you really actually would be so well off mentally and in terms of financially. It is why I've been cool as a cucumber this whole entire time. These last 2 years, these 3 years in the markets. Well, I've been more, but in terms of the channel and stuff, I've been doing this for about a year and a half or more. So, like I said, a year and a half to 2 years, and the reason why I've been cool like a cucumber is because, ladies and gentlemen, the technical analysis is there. Tariffs don't scare me. The Iran war, the Iraq war, the Israel war, any type of war doesn't scare me. Okay. Yeah, of course, there's always that little bit of a question mark, but I'm like always thinking, no, you gotta remember these politicians, they play chess. Okay. Everything is a game of chess in this. And it's the same thing with the charts, right? It's the same thing with the charts. It's why, calls don't have to be 100% perfect, but we called buys somewhere around here. We called sells somewhere around here. And ladies and gentlemen, we literally also started to talk about reversals. Remember, many videos ago, we started to talk about the reversals, right? I believe we talked about these. And I also believe, I'm not sure exactly where it was. I think we even talked about these ones over here, right? In recent times. Yeah, it was this one over here. We talked about this, right? So look, man, it's not no coincidence, right? It's not no coincidence. If you even go back to my old turbo videos, I timed the top 2 times. And because, ladies and gentlemen, technical analysis is king and it will always be king for 99.9% of scenarios. Okay. It is always that very, very big anomaly story that matters more than technical analysis. Okay. And that is just a God honest truth. Look, ladies and gentlemen, when we go to Zebec, we can see we rank 147 out of 9,511 active cryptos. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, 347 million market cap, 11 million volume, so nothing too crazy. When we go and see last month, overall, we're down 31%, almost down 32% in the month. But that does mean very, very nice, great buying opportunities. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, in the last 7 days, we're actually up 3.50%. And then last day, we're up 1.9%. When we go and look at something like the holders, we can actually see that we've kind of been flatlining. We actually kind of been flatlining the last few days, which is fine because it's also been the weekend and I don't really expect much movement and a lot of people to come in or out. But we see, finally some flat lines, which is not bad considering in general we have been selling off ever since the 9th of August. Okay. One thing I did notice, ladies and gentlemen, literally actually before I started to record, was this trend line is actually lining up very, very nicely, right? So we're going to see and monitor how we hold over here. Now, this doesn't mean automatic, guarantee, right? It doesn't mean automatic guarantee, especially when we go and look at something like the weekly. Nothing in the weekly really suggests instant reversals necessarily. Uh, like I said, nothing suggests instant reversals necessarily. ZBEC network is also not shy to take away liquidity, right? So, what I mean is, it's not shy to sweep this weekly candle first, go lower, have a fake out, right? Have a fake out before it then goes higher. Okay. I'm just saying right now, ZBEC network does not shy away from that. As of right now, ladies and gentlemen, we did talk about, you know, us consistently going lower, right? We have this high over here, this lower high, we have this low, but we do have a higher low. So the question mark is, well, what now? The thing is, right, when I look at something like the weekly, it doesn't really convince me necessarily that we are automatically going to be pumping up. I would really want to see a little bit more confirmation of us bouncing off of the 0.0037 and seeing some type of good momentum, at least breaking these areas over here to really feel confident about this. Okay. And now the structure isn't the worst, but like I said, because of the context of how it's all in the same weekly candle, it doesn't really make me the most confident. Okay, it doesn't really make me the most confident, right? And there is still technically no confirmation yet, just because you have a higher low one time or a higher high one time, that doesn't automatically mean it's confirmation. So, you know, but still overall a good time to be buying. But ZBEC has in the past broken trend lines, right? If we go to something like this, we've also had something similar where we held, we have multiple points. One, two, we can see we have this for a couple of days. We boom, we go to the downside, we fake out, boom, we get some type of momentum, go down, fake out once again, then continue to rally up. So us faking out going to the downside is not something I'm completely, taking out of the picture. It's something I'm very wary of. And I would be looking at this probably order block right over here, right? Probably would be looking at this order block right over here. Now, that is practically going to be it, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the technical analysis, right? We could see a little bit dip. We could see a little bit of a dip lower. Now, like I said, we still need a little bit more confirmation overall, generally speaking, right? If we do see some nice heavy upside momentum, then that higher low will be confirmed, and then the structure will shift, and then we'll take it from there. But yeah, that is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. Highly recommend joining the private community so you guys get educated. But also, we did call out some meme coins that are almost, I can't literally guarantee this, but they're almost guaranteed to pump just because based off the history. So if you're a person that likes to gamble with meme coins, then I highly suggest getting into the private community, as the calls are still fresh and they are still valid at this moment. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. I love you guys all so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.